All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. So, today, we're going to be doing more monster spell casting spells. We've got 2 spells left to implement. We finished Freeze Ground yesterday. There is one thing I want to do first, though. It's actually something we worked on yesterday, and I feel a little silly, but I had a talk with one of my Discord community members, and I was saying how I was using a set to keep track of the entities that are left. So you might remember we were having a problem with the const function, and this const function, or this const requirement, is actually intended or on purpose. Because I kind of didn't realize that a set is just a list of hashes or keys, right? And so because they're hashes or keys, when you insert them, they are immutable. They're supposed to be, because the hash is computed when the item gets added. That's how you can look it up and find it. So after realizing that, I realized that we actually need to turn this from an unordered set into an unordered map. A map that contains both the key itself, like a hash of this, and the actual entity itself. So if we look back at entity, we have a const variant of an entity pointer. So naturally, if we hash this, we'll end up with the value we're supposed to store as a key inside of here. So that is what we're going to do instead. So firstly, I wanted to also see if I could actually just use the hashes of the variants, because I didn't realize, like, sure, we're using the entity value here. Why not return the standard hash of the entity value up there as well? Right? Like, I didn't really think about that, but I'm pretty sure we can do that. Like, we can just return the hash of the standard variant instead. So I want to try that real quick. So instead of all this mess, we just do, wait, why do I have 2? I don't know why I have 2. Am I seeing this right? Yeah, there's 2 of them. Oh, one is with a const and one with a non-const. Technically, we only need the one with a const. So, anyway, let's return a standard hash variant containing a player or monster. And let's see what happens with that. Hi, Adrian. I mean, you were busy. But yes, welcome. Good to see you. So does this work, or does this not exist? So it says it doesn't exist. Okay. I was just curious if that would be possible, but it looks like we have to provide an actual implementation per type. Which is fair. Very fair. Also, we don't need these at the end. That's just silly. But yes, welcome. Good to see you. I'm doing great. I hope you're having a happy Thursday. Okay, so we want to convert this into an unordered map. Now, doing it from this seems a little bit awkward, because I guess after I filter, I would have to transform all the values into pairs to insert them into an unordered map. So I think the transform is going to be required here. So let's try that. We're going to do a standard ranges transform, and the transform function is going to return, we're just going to explicitly say we're returning, and it might be able to deduce this, honestly, but we're going to use the entity value itself, like the pointer, as the key. So I wonder how that would work. I wonder if it's the same. Like, would the key of a hash of a player be the same as the hash of a monster pointer? I guess that's what I want to find out. If it is, I guess we can make it a bit more generalized. You're free all day? Awesome. Well, hope you enjoy watching me code, because we have a lot of coding to do today. So my idea is, if I convert these to void stars and then I hash them, would that essentially be the same thing? Because I'm converting these to void star here and here. They're pointers, so it's like they should technically hash correctly, but would they hash into the same thing, I guess, is the question. So let's say I have a float. I think I had this yesterday. Yeah, I like purposely casted the float pointer into an int point. Oh no, let me try this real quick. So I have a void star float int pointer, as in like I'm converting the int to the float, and I'm passing in int pointer, but I'm going to force it to be casted to a void star. And so in theory, both of the float pointer and the float int pointer, wait, that's not right, are gonna be pointing to the same thing, in theory. Let me do, yeah, these would be individuals, but let me make it point to the same data. So this is going to be an int pointer, but I'm going to assign it from a float, just for the sake of testing, because this is essentially what I would do, is I would say we have two pointers pointing to the same object, because that's what a variant is. Like, it can either be a monster or a player pointer, but regardless of the type, if they're pointing to the same object, then it should resolve. In theory. So let's first say that they're the same. They should be. So same one should print. And then I want to do a standard hash of both of these. And in theory, a standard hash for both should produce the same result if they're equivalent, right? Like, I think that would make sense. In fact, let me try void star casting them here. These don't match. Are we sure? That's interesting. There's no hash implementation for void star, I guess? I guess it would have to be some type. Okay, well, let's try this then. What happens if we compare the two hashes? Because they're both pointing to the same data. Would these resolve to the same result? Int pointer is not an int pointer? What? It should be. Hold on. Don't know what it's complaining about, really. Convert from int to standard hash int pointer. Why are we converting it? Oh wait, am I being silly? Is standard hash int... Let me see. I'm pretty sure the argument is supposed to be... Oh, the argument is after... Like, this is the function. The argument goes in the args of that function. So I think it should look like that. Yeah, okay. So I just had the syntax wrong. It's a little confusing. I'm not sure, but I think in theory it would be undefined behavior, but in practice it would work. So somebody was telling me yesterday that the comparison of two like void stars, I guess like a void star conversion is like undefined behavior, like the actual comparison, which I'm like, I find that interesting because aren't underlying, they're supposed to be like numbers? Like, wouldn't, in my head, I'm thinking a pointer is a pointer, like it's a number. Does casting to void star is not considered like just another number? Like, I think the example we were doing was like size t. We were converting them to size t's, but apparently that's undefined behavior too. So I don't understand, if they're not numbers, how can converting to numbers from other numbers be undefined behavior? Like, there must be a concept I'm missing, or like a rule of the compiler that I'm not understanding here. In regards to pointers and numbers, like in my head they're both the same thing. So I've been trying to wrap my head around why, like, but like you said, in theory, right? Like the theory is sound. They're numbers pointing to memory addresses at the end of the day. So the comparisons should resolve. But yeah, like, just trying to generalize it, right? I'm like, do we really have to deal with each type of pointer? Some CPUs require some types to be aligned to memory, and if the pointer is not aligned, casting may explode. Oh, that's interesting. So, if, let's say, just in theory, for some reason the pointer size, the data type size of a pointer is like 32 bits, just in theory, and then you cast it to a 64-bit size type, there's a possibility that anything could happen because it's expecting the type, the memory size space of that data type is supposed to remain that amount. It's safe to cast to char star and back to the same type. Char star? Really? That's interesting. To me, just like star, pointer of any type is equivalent. Like, but I guess that I could see a world where maybe like pointers of certain types are different sizes. Like, that might be a thing. That's interesting. Char, any type size of 1 byte. Unside char or standard byte. Like, to me, this, Void Star, and Char Star are all equivalent. Like, the underlying type is supposed to be like a raw pointer, right? A raw pointer is a raw pointer is a raw pointer. Is that really not true in C++? Are there instances, like, because a char star would represent a char structure in memory, somewhere in memory. It's pointing somewhere in memory. Where that can be pointed to in memory, like the memory data type, is supposed to be a fixed size. Like, the memory addresses in a computer are indexed, I guess you could say, by certain numbers, right? A certain range. And that range, ideally, the compiler would have access to the entire range. So regardless if it was a char star, a void star, or a player star type, we want to be able to access any memory address within memory space. So that's my thinking anyway. But hearing this twice, like this undefined behavior thing, makes me think maybe, I don't know, I'm missing something. And I want to be careful, I guess. What we could do, and at the very least I should do, is write like a unit test or something to make sure this hash function does work the way we expect. Because I guess if we reach a point where the compiler doesn't produce the results we expect, then maybe at least that would trigger it, and we would know. So I could at least do that, at the very least. But if I could generalize this, that would be great. Also, my Visual Studio closed, so I need to still see that. For some reason, like some key or something I hit closes this window sometimes, and I'm not sure why. It specifically closes the code window. So I don't know what I'm hitting. Maybe like, is Control W a thing? Okay. I hate Control W in web browsers. It's very common though, for it to close windows. What you cannot do is convert a pointer to int into a pointer to float. What? Really? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. That's breaking my brain. Because, like, these are addresses. If I, like, the only reason that would be true is if, like, when I cast it, like, let's say I casted the float pointer to an int pointer, then it, like, does something to the data, but I thought a cast just modifies... Okay, so maybe... Okay, let me think about it this way. The casting operation may not be necessarily just as simple as changing what the type is, I guess. Maybe under the hood, casting means something else. Maybe I should think of it that way. So let's say casting it under the hood, maybe the compiler does something, some operation, depending on what the cast is. I wonder if there's anything talking about this. This is called like a... Is this just like called an implicit cast? Is that what this is? Implicit conversions? No, I think this is something else. Implicit conversions is like... It can be something else. Yeah. Does not accept that type as used for something else. This is just like casting. Cast operator. Performs explicit casting. I did not dig deeper. That rules allow C++ to run different types of CPU and unlock optimization. I see. Okay. I think that makes sense. I just want to take a quick peek here. So, if type name is void, expression is evaluated for its side effects and... Okay, that's fine. If type name is exactly the type of expression, the value of expression is converted to the type name divided by type name as follows. In addition to implicit conversions, the following conversions are allowed. Any integer can be cast to any pointer type. except for the null pointer constants, such as null. So any integer can be cast to any pointer type, okay. Any pointer type can be cast to any integer type. The result is implementation defined even for null pointer values. If the result cannot be represented in the target type, the behavior is undefined. Any pointer to object can be cast to any other pointer to object. If the value is not correctly aligned for the target type, the behavior is undefined. Value is not correctly... Okay, so it becomes undefined behavior if the size is essentially... if all the memory isn't aligned. Otherwise, if the value is converted back to the original type, it compares equal to the original value. So otherwise, as long as it's the behavior is not undefined, it can be converted back to original type with the original value. If a pointer to object is cast to a pointer to any character type, the result points at the lowest byte of the object and may be incremented up to size of the target type. And that makes sense. That's why char was mentioned. Any pointer to function can be cast to pointer to any other function type. When casting between pointers, if the original value is a null pointer, the result is the correct null pointer value for the target type. So I guess what I'm getting at is, if I really want this to be easy, I would convert the pointers to integers. Well, numbers that represent the pointer. This avoids any other weirdness going on with memory. I think I want to avoid pointer to object. Because even if I cast it to a pointer of a different type, yes, the pointer numbers are valid, but then obviously I can't like dereference it because that's going to point to an object, an invalid object, resulting in undefined behavior. So I think internally in my head, yes, all pointers are like the same, they're just numbers, but the undefined behavior comes from trying to utilize these pointers after the fact. So, safest practice would be to just convert them to numbers, which makes sense to me. I think I should do that. Where is my example project? Did it close? Did I close it again by accident? How do I keep doing this? Yeah, it closed again. Why does that keep happening? Stop closing. Okay, anyway. So what I'm going to do then is int pointer. So I'm going to have these pointer numbers and I'm going to convert them to, let's say, size t's. And when I convert them or cast them to size t's, I'm going to hash them as size t's. So in theory, if I have two pointers pointing to the same memory address, in this case, this is an int pointer pointing to the address of my float, and this is a float pointer pointing to the address of my float. These two should resolve correctly, in theory. So let me try that. So I'm gonna... it was called explicit cast? Explicit type conversion, yeah. So I guess we call this explicit casting. So if I did this... in theory, we should see the output same 1 and same 2. And in this case, we do. There is a special integer type which guarantees to fit pointer. Oh, that's cool. I just read that size t is max size, so I'm like, okay, I would use that, but that's actually cool. So I assume I can hash that as well. So it would look kind of like this. That's what we're going for. It said any numerical type, so this should be the same. Yeah. I think this is what we're aiming for then. this would be a more generic way to represent a hash of variants of pointers. As silly as that sounds. So no matter what the variant is, we're going to... Well, I guess I still have to have this like holds alternative thing, because otherwise I can't... Like, I can't get the raw value without converting it, right? Yeah. So I have to... Oops. Yeah, I don't think we have... Well, let me see. Because it's like, if I could just grab... I don't know how to think of this variant here, because internally it's like, you have to convert it anyways. So it's like, am I just... Look, did I just jump into a rabbit hole for no reason? I guess it's good to know at least. Returns the zero-based index of the alternative held by the variant. Zero-based index. Oh, okay. So I could just grab whatever's first. Like, I don't care for it. I just grab it first. So, wait, what? v-index returns the zero-based index of the alternative that is held by the variant. Variant int. Oh, I see. So it's been dependent on this. So can I just... Can I just like index into this? I wonder. Get reads the value of the variant given the... Okay, yeah. But like, can I get it by number instead of the type? I wonder. Oh, it looks like I can. Same effect as the previous line. So if I always get the first value, I know they're both going to be raw pointers. So it doesn't really matter what the type is. I should be able to generalize it to say, okay, return standard hash of int pointer t of int pointer t cast of entity.entity standard get 0, because it doesn't matter which type I select here. Technically, it should be able to convert it, right? Actually, I think variant will error out if I choose the wrong one for the wrong type. I think that would actually occur. Maybe? Also, why isn't this working? Oh wait, this is a pointer. Wait, is this a pointer? Oh, I guess it doesn't know what this type is. Well, the type, I guess I could tell it, is a monster pointer. So that, wait. Yeah, it doesn't know what this is. Hold on. Conditionally enabled hash? I guess this doesn't return what I'm expecting. Standard get float w, okay, prints 42. Yeah, that throws because the type doesn't match. So I don't think I can do this. It looks like there's no way to avoid. Yeah, it looks like there's no way to avoid this. You know what I think I should have done and would have been really interesting here? What if this was like a union? Just entertain this for a sec. What if I had a union here that had both a monster and a player, right? Well, no, that wouldn't work, because then I would need a type that's double the size of 2 pointers, and each pointer contain... Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Alright. Well, I think we give up on this idea, because it looks like no matter what, I have to give it the type. And if I'm going to give it the type, I might as well just keep this here, as is. I just thought maybe we could generalize this, but I guess we can't really generalize it much further than this. Which is fine, I guess. I was hoping maybe I was onto something, but we learned something today, which is great. We learned what we can and can't do for casting pointers, so that's fun. Anyways, we're back here at transform, so I'm not going to use the hash function I wrote. Oh wait, we're not done with the hash, are we? Because I still want to hash them to int pointer t's, ideally, and return it. So this actually returns as a size t, which I guess casts fine because this is the largest number possible. Yeah, no, the hash function returns size t no matter what, so I'm just confusing myself. And then convert both of these through an explicit cast. And then we should be fine there. So we know that these two will resolve correctly. Back over here. I just went on a tangent for the fun of it, which happens sometimes with programming. So that's always fun. This work? Okay. But we love going on programming tangents sometimes. We learn new things, even if we might not necessarily use it. So right now this is an entity. So with transform, we're going to convert it to the hash of the entity and the entity. So we're going to return... I don't need this right now. I'm going to see if it can deduce this. I don't know if it will, but I'm going to try. Entity... I think standard hash of entity type. Entity. Comma. So this is going to be a pair. Again, I don't know if this will auto-deduce. I don't think it will. And the entity itself. So something like that. So this is kind of interesting, though, because one issue with this is... Oh, wait. One issue with this is that, like, the hash needs to not depend on a value that will change. Which it doesn't, because we made this const. But, like, I thought if maybe, like, we had a different object where we supplied some value that can change in the lifetime of this object, then technically this code is, well, it's bad code, because we would end up with the same issue of that unordered set, this time being an unordered map, where the hash can be invalidated based on the state of the object. So it's like, if the state of this object is changing, because that's our goal, we want to use a map so we can store this value in here and change it, differs enough to where the key no longer represents that entity, then this would be invalid. This only works because the value to calculate the hash is never going to change. So I guess that's something to keep in mind. Also, I did this again. And yeah, I can't deduce the pair, so I'm going to write it myself. This is a standard pair of a standard hash entity type and a entity. And so hopefully it can figure that out. No instance of constructor matches the argument list. Size t. Oh, it's size t. Oops. There we go. So then after this, our next thing to do is convert it. So this is... What is this for? Oh, that was the end of the auto, so we don't need that one. That was the end of the lambda, so closing parens on transform, and then we pipe it again. So transform type is const standard ranges transform function. Let me see here. We might have to specify the return type. I don't know, because the return type is literally right there, so what's the issue, right? Does it have to be const too? I don't know. I don't think we need the return type here. Hi, Amy. I've played the latest demo on your itch.io game page. It's a fun game. Did you also make the art assets? I make some of them, but I do have a pixel artist who did all the like story background stuff and the animations for most of the later monsters in the game. Because I actually started doing some of the monster animations, but eventually I stopped because it was just so time consuming, and I decided to give it to an artist to finish instead. So I did some of it, but not all of it. So we're having issues with this. Wait, is this a view? Oops. That's supposed to be a view, right? Views? Okay. For some reason I did ranges when it wasn't a range. So this all looks good. I don't know if I need this. I'm going to try removing it. I think it can figure it out. So it's now converted to a map. So now that we've done all that, we're back to here. And now we have a map instead. So next, I'm going to change this because we're going to try this again. Now that I understand why it was const to begin with. For each element, right, inside of entities that have left, we're now going to get, instead of an entity, we're now going to get a standard pair containing the size t and the entity. I think. Or maybe we'll just get a list of keys and we have to go from there. But maybe I can do const auto here. I'm not entirely sure. Key, comma, entity. Can it do that? I don't think so. Anyway, this is, oh, wait, the type is odd. Hold on. I need the, yeah, this doesn't work apparently. So it's, pair. And then we can do auto, key, comma, entity. On pair. Wait, does that work? Yeah, that works. Can I feel like I can do this earlier. Like, can I not put this up here? Yeah, that's not valid syntax. I'm like, I wish there was something like this. That would be kind of cool. But it looks like we can't do that. So I put it here instead. So this should be a... I don't know if it can... I'm not getting, like, highlighted stuff, so I don't know if it's keeping track of what's going on. Because this is auto. Does it not know what to do with this? I guess we'll see, right? Because it's not... Compiler's not complaining, which has me worried. It's like, I feel like something should be wrong here. Also, the slime sounds are funny. Like someone licking a popsicle. That's cute. I like that. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. In terms of the folks that have tried the game, we've gotten pretty, like, positive reception, so I'm glad, like... I'm glad the game is nice. I'm glad people like it. It's a cute little game. I don't think it's anything novel, but the people that have played it had fun and enjoyed it, so... I'm glad. I'm glad to hear overall reception is positive about it. Like I said, I wanted to work on a fun little, like, game project. And so, when this was proposed to me by my game designer, I'm like, yeah, I would love to do that. That sounds like fun. I like little, like, action-adventure RPG games, so definitely down for something like that. Well, so far, it looks like everything's compiling. Oh, so, this is supposed to go away now. We're not supposed to const cast. So, this is technically the bad thing to do. And the reason for that, again, was because in that set, it's entirely possible that the hash will be invalidated based on the state of this object. I guess you could say the same thing here if we used the actual value, the same value for the hash. But the thing is, now at least this is non-const, which is really what we want. But in reality, in a lot of situations, your object's hash will not be something you could use, because if the state of this changes, the state of what this returns might change. In theory, right? So that's the one caveat or thing we have to be careful about, is if we implemented this hash function, whatever variables we use from that entity, if we're implementing it like this, cannot change state. Because if it does, the key will actually change with the state of the object. So the build succeeded, which is good. I'm going to remove the const cast now. It should no longer be necessary. It's returning as const entity. Oh, because I put const pair. That's why. Okay. Yay! The key should be const, though. Like, I should not be able to modify the key, like, at all. Yeah, because it's not modifiable. So unlike entity, we can't touch it. So this is good. Good news. Essentially, we didn't change anything. We just made it more correct. As in, I should realize that using a set there was the incorrect move when I needed to modify the state of the object. In that case, I needed it to hold a value, not just use the value for the key of the map. So that's the key distinction and what we learned from that. So I'm actually going to commit this right now before we continue. Fix standard unordered map. It's technically incorrect usage of a set. Usage to use a standard unordered map instead. That is the actual structure we wanted, and is the more correct way to do this. I think it's important to at least learn this distinction, because in the future we might encounter this situation again, and it's good to know what data structure I need to actually be using to avoid bugs. We shouldn't be const casting our object to change it. C++ puts protections in place, or those protections in place to let us know, hey, you really shouldn't be touching this. It's supposed to be const. So this is the more correct way, even if it didn't affect our actual result in this scenario. We kind of looked out with that. That line is huge. Oh yeah. We do this a lot sometimes. We do this a lot. That's why I have ultra wide monitors, because our lines do span a lot of screen. That's just how I write the code. This reminds me of, like, the one thing I really like about this, like, view and range syntax, like, obviously you can put them on separate lines, but it reminds me of, like, piping things in Linux, and you end up with this, like, really long single line command. But in Bash, you usually break them up too, so they're not incredibly long and horizontal, but I tend to keep it that way. Just something I do, style-wise. So we committed that. It said failed to push. I think I know why. Yeah, I have to re-enter my credentials. So let me re-enter my credentials. Probably just didn't want to authenticate. And failed to push. Did I type the wrong password? Probably typed the wrong password. Dang it. Try one more time. There we go. We're up to date now. So, moving on. I have a note here. It's from yesterday. The start button on the... Wait. Wrong one. Hurt sound plays... Oh wait, monster damage unit test for no damage number flag. So yesterday we realized that the player hurt function does not respect the no damage number flag. So we added a check to the player like hurt function or unit test to do that. So we're gonna do the same for the monster test. So I'm gonna go back to player takes damage real quick or something like that. And we're gonna do basically the same thing. We're gonna rename it to like monster takes damage and no damage flag works. Usually instead of const cast, I mark values that I want to change as mutable. That is useful to mark cached values, so when you have an expensive getter, you can put the cached value into the mutable field without using const cast and keep the getter const. I mark values I want to change as mutable. Okay, so like the mutable keyword, right? That is useful to mark cached values. Well, it wouldn't go there, but you know what I mean. When you have an expensive getter, you can put the cached value into the mutable field without using const cast. I think I just need a bit more context, because it's like, okay, const cast. Why am I using const cast, right? Because, like, obviously I want to modify a mutable value coming out of, like, a const container or something, but... Yeah, I think it's for a different situation we're talking about here. But yes, I'm trying to, like, create a context in my head, because I'm like, okay, what situation am I in right now where I would actually do this? But I would consider the situation I was const casting in just incorrect. Just don't do that. That's bad. That is a bad use of const cast. But the situation I'm imagining where it's like, yes, you have some, like you said, an expensive getter, you can const cast of instead of a const cast, because you can just const cast and be like, okay, modify value now. You can instead copy a value into const and still have the getter const, which presumably is const correct, so it would only work on const function or const members to still do the right thing. I think yeah, I think I understand what context we're trying to talk about here. Const a public audit constception. Yes. Let me see. Because this is just like all in one block, so I need to... Okay, so... that's the getter. That's something. Presumably that's class, not const. Or that's a class that is const. Yeah. So mutable cached, if not cached, because it's an optional. Oh, I see, okay. Then the getter returns the cached value, or if it's not cached, get it. Okay. So the getter, since it's const, can do, because it's mutable. Wait, so mutable ignores constantness of a function? Is that what this is telling me here? Wait, I think I'm missing something else here. This is a... Is that really true? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Mutable ignores constants of the object. Wait, this is actually very useful, because there have been situations where I'm like, I just gave up on const correctness because it was too hard to make that work. Wait, that's actually fascinating. I figured there might be like some way where you can do that, but I didn't know that was... I didn't know how that would work. So that's an interesting solution. So let's say we have a mutable int state or something, right? Some kind of random value that's going to change state when we call this function. But it's a const function, so technically state shouldn't be modified. So can we just do this now? That is wild. I did not know that. That is actually insane. Cool. The more you know. I want to watch this variable. Okay, cool. So that is a const function with a value that actually modifies state inside there. So yeah, the use case for like caching something makes sense for there while still leaving it const correct for whatever. That's interesting. Okay. I like that. So yeah, that's good. That's good to know. There's probably a lot I can do with that in the future. I've run into some, I guess you can call them, I've run into some friction with trying to make everything const correct, in that sometimes it's just not possible, because there's just some internal state I need to keep track of or modify. That actually would help a lot. Now, obviously, if you're modifying state inside a getter that you say doesn't modify state, you have to be a little careful, right? You can't just go around making everything mutable. That ruins the whole point. It's kind of like an encapsulation for constness, which is kind of funny. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That is very useful information. Deal 5 damage. And no damage flag works. So we're gonna check the damage flag inside this monster test at the same time by sending like a hurt call that does not display the damage flag and that does. It's going to be test monster hurt. So with this function, we're going to do damage to the monster. We're going to do 0 damage specifically, which actually does still count as damage. It will still produce a damage number unless we say explicitly no damage number. Then it won't appear. So, and we also wait a little bit so the damage number that we previously had doesn't get stacked up on top. Basically, if we hit something within a small time frame or window, the numbers combine together and just sum. So we're changing this to monster. Hurting the monster for 0 damage should still generate a damage number. So we should have 2 damage numbers at this point because we've already hurt the monster once. And then we're going to hurt the monster again but say no damage number, and there should only be 2 damage numbers. So I'm going to build this and run this test, and it should pass. Because we've already implemented it correctly on the monster side, we just realized the player side didn't have it. And so I'm like, well, now I want to write unit tests to make sure these don't break. So we'll see. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. There's some keywords that I just don't know really a good use for them, so that's a very good use case for mutable. Yeah, because I'm all pro for const correctness. I think it's very important as a concept. It's just sometimes there's too much friction with it, depending on how the code, how your implementation is, and that leads me to not want to use it sometimes, or can't use it, because you end up in a situation where it just doesn't work out. There's just some internal state that you really have to have or change. And now that gives me a lot more opportunities to use it, which I'm very happy about. I'm pretty excited. So this test actually fails. on this assert. Why? Okay, well, I guess it's debug time. So after this hurt function, we expect damage number list to have 2 numbers in it. It only has 1. Is it double damage? No, it's just 5 damage. Well, 5 plus the 0 would actually be 5 still. So maybe they combined? Let's take a look in the hurt function instead. That would be more useful. See what happens. Or maybe 0 damage just cancels out, and doing 0 damage to a monster does nothing. Which is entirely possible, but it's inconsistent with the player, where if the player takes 0 damage, it still goes through as damage. So let's see here. So currently damage is 0, as we would expect. Go through and do damage calculation. Damage is still 0. Not hit by a player ability, so don't do player ability stuff. Do more math. Subtract the HP. 0 damage dealt. If not, hurt flags. So hurt flags are currently none. So this bit is off, so it's actually true, which means we should get a damage number out of this. Last hit timer was 0.05. So if it's greater than 0... So this is supposed to be going down, right? Last hit timer gets set, and it's supposed to be going down. Where does it go down at? Because I guess when we call update, it's not updating that, because according to this, it hit the... Or according to this, it hit the monster 0.05 seconds ago, so it is just going to stack on the previous damage number. Which means we don't generate another damage number. So why isn't last hit timer going down? Let's look at where it goes down at. It goes down in the update function, so we would expect the monster update function to be called in game update. So does it not? On user update. Under global game updates, these two should be... One of these two should be true. Like, the console should not be showing during this. So then we go in here, and under global game updates, we end up in... Let me see. Actually, monster updates are typically in the state update functions. So if we go to, like, state game run, we should see it in there. So there's game update entities, which includes the monsters, update monsters, and update monsters should call every monster's update function. We don't expect it to be marked for deletion. Oh, are we too far away from the player on a test map? I doubt it, because I spawn it at 0, 0, and the player is actually also standing at 0, 0 in theory. Well, let's find out, right? Because the monster... Actually, where is the reduction in the last hit timer? It was in here, right? The update function. Yeah. So it's the very first one. So I guess what we want to do is we want to see why this isn't going down. So let's find that out. Let's do a... Let's actually breakpoint up here. But so far, the code all seems good. It makes, like, logical sense to me. So now let's breakpoint in the first line of the update function, which should be called. Or it doesn't. So somehow monster update just doesn't occur. Do we just add the monster manually? Is that what happened? Oh, I see. We don't add the monster to the world. we literally just create a test monster class. So this is not in the world, and that's why nothing's updating for it. We need to actually spawn this monster in the world for it to have, like, world-like properties. So I think I made a spawn monster function already. Yeah, right there. I just call spawn monster. So let's do that. So instead of this, I'm going to say, well, we're going to get a test monster out of it, but we're going to say game spawn monster, which should work. Hello? For some reason it doesn't want to pop up. Apparently this doesn't exist. Let me fix this. Okay. Maybe I'll actually... IntelliSense will pick this up now. I think the first value is the spawn position. It's a deleted... What? Oh. This should be a reference, shouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. Good. Alright. And I don't think it spawns immediately. I think it takes a tick, so we have to just wait a moment in-game. We don't even have to wait for a certain amount of time. We just have to force a game update. And I think that should be good now. That will actually run the update function for the monster. And then it will reduce the last hit timer, which then makes the damage numbers work. So test passes now, so we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and commit that real quick. Added unit test to ensure no damage number flag is respected for a monster's hurt function. Release build 12893. Okay. And then I have another note on my to-do. The hurt sound plays for freeze ground without max damage stacks. So basically yesterday, when the player was getting hit by the freeze ground attack, even though it was doing 0 damage, you would still hear the little hurt sound. And I don't think that's right. Like, first of all, the 0 is not going to appear. And if the number doesn't appear, our intent is it's supposed to be discrete. It's supposed to be hidden. So if hurt no damage number, or excuse me, if no damage number is on, we shouldn't play a sound. They should be like tied together. At least I think. Because our goal is to make it invisible, right? So I don't think a hurt sound should play if there's no damage number. I think they should be tied together. So down here, well, that's the health warning when the health gets low. But there should be a sound effect, hurt sound effect somewhere around here. Let me find it. Hurt. I don't see it. I feel like it should be playing a sound. Like, that's not this. This is the warning when the health is too low. But there should be another play sound effect somewhere in here about that. And we're looking for, it should be like hurt. Oh, there it is. Get hurt sound in monster. But what about the player? The player should have one too. Is it not called hurt? Now we gotta look. Audio. Oh wait. Let me go to... It's just based on file name, so I need to go look in the actual folders for it. Oops. Not mean to do that. Under not music, but sounds. I would assume it's just like called like hurt or something. Okay, player hit. I think that's actually like the player dealing damage. Could be wrong. Let me see. Oh no, that is the sound. So it's either player hit 1 or 2. So I guess I'm looking for hit. Player hit. Also, where are these names coming from? Like player hit? Oh, events. That's what they're called. Okay, that's the file I was looking for earlier. This is a list of every sound effect in the game. And the one we were trying to find was the hit. The player hit. And the reason why I did this is because we have the ability to control, like, randomly choosing a sound from any sound key, I guess you can call them, or sound ID. We can also specify if it only plays in combat or if it plays, like, in menus as well. And we can specify the volume individually per file. So it provides us with some flexible control over that. So that's why that's done. So right here, where are we? Okay, so I just had to go a little further down. It's not where I expected it to be. Basically, we're seeing if we took lethal damage and survived hit due to defiance, we apply iframes, which means the sound doesn't play. So this is the condition that determines if sound should play. So I'm going to replace this with a boolean called sound, or hurt sound should play, and we'll by default set that to these conditions and have that in here. So now we can add to this to determine if the sound should play. We should only play the sound also if this flag is off. So if not no damage number, then we should also play the sound. Also, this is a little bit cryptic, so I'm gonna call this display damage number, just to make it slightly more readable. I think it's easier at a glance to tell what's going on than trying to be like, okay, bit that matches no damage number, not it. Like, I just get annoyed that I keep reading it that way, and in my head I'm like, this is just taking up more processing power than it really needs to. So I could do the same on the other side. So I added that, where the hurt sound should only play if we have display damage number. So this actually should be the opposite logic, so I'm gonna flip it. If hurt sound should play, else, well, okay, but that doesn't mean we're necessarily supposed to give ourselves iframe time based on death defiance, which is an ability you can get from a ring. So that logic doesn't apply. We have to like separate the hurt sound from this thing, which is survives. So yeah, hurt sound should play. Let me see this. If cat form's active, play this sound effect, deactivate cat form. So this isn't even tied to sound, it's just tied to when we get hit. Oh, there is a play hit sound effect here. Why? Not is dot. Okay, so we don't do that for... So I already had this, actually. Funny enough, I just didn't read far enough. Okay, let's back up a little bit because now our logic's just funny. Okay. So... yeah, if we have defiance, essentially, and survived, and we took lethal damage, we'll do this, which totally ignores all the other things that would happen if we normally got hit. So I just have to add the condition to here, which I'm still going to do the whole flipping of this so that it makes sense. Damage number displayed. Damage number should spawn. Damage number Damage number... What did I call this before? Shown? I literally forgot what I called this. Damage number... Add damage number? Display damage number. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. So that I'm gonna put way up here. I guess I should follow this naming convention with the capital there. Yep. Just rename that real quick. Wait, that didn't do anything. Hold on. What? Oh, probably because I need to put the bool. There we go. So it didn't know what to change. So display damage number. And that's what we want to change. So select those, please. Why isn't the checkbox working? Okay. So this is not damage or hurt flags. And hurt flags. Hurt flag. No damage number. Oops. Like so. Okay. So play the hit sound effect if this isn't a dot and we're supposed to display a damage number. So that logic makes sense. And then we don't have to touch any other combat logic. And we basically do the same thing on the monster side. I don't think there should really be any difference here. So play hit sound effect. Again, pretty much we got the same looking paradigm here. And we're just gonna add this display damage number bit down here. That looks good to me. Okay. Let me just build and make sure there are no errors. Now, as for whether it worked is a whole nother question, right? Because this is a variable local to this function, I guess we can't really, like, test that property. And also, sound effects don't run in unit tests. At least I turn them off. So I can't really test if, like, the sound actually played. Maybe I can just give it a little, like... Yeah, like, what I could do is I could make a log of, like, the sounds that played, and maybe we could, like, reference that or something if we have testing mode enabled. I kind of like that idea, because then we can actually see, like, hey, did this sound effect played? And we could even go as far as to, like, count how many times this sound effect plays, if we want to test that. So we could make this function testable. It's just by default I don't do that, because playing a sound effect isn't really part of unit testing. At least I didn't make it so, because I'm not testing the sound engine to make sure it plays sounds, so I didn't think it was necessary. But yeah, we could do that at the very least. That way we have a log of all the sounds that have played. So I think we'll add a unit test to make sure that's working. Then we can add situations that should and should not play sounds. We can test when the player receives a poison over time. If we add no damage number to a hurt function, it should never play. And then a normal damage function should, of course, play the sound. So we're done building. And everything should be good to go. I mean, we can just, like, go in game and listen to it, obviously. But unit testing it would be nice, too. So let's go in. Well, let's start here. Let's make a... Actually, let's make a failing test. I think that's the best way to do it. Either a failing test or a test that doesn't compile, right? And go from there. So this would be, player takes damage. sound effects work. Okay. So the idea here is we have some place to store a log of all the sound effects that have played, only for testing mode. So every time the play SFX function gets called, we need to like log it or something. I'm thinking, so I'm gonna adjust this if statement to say, okay, this condition, it'll still return. This condition, it'll actually do something. We'll just say, I could just actually log it to the game's logging system, but I would rather make like a map of all the sound event names that have played and how many times they have played. I feel like this is useful information if we're going to test in the future. So then the idea would be, it'll be like sounds played. We'll make this like a public, at least public to tests, a public static. Oh, can I actually do that? Hold on, let me think. I guess we're gonna friend class sound effect, or no, other way around. Sound effect is going to friend class this method. So this macro produces a function inside a test class. You can see it's like a gigantic macro, but essentially it turns into a method that we can use. You can see right here, it's just called monster test health check. That's essentially what that turns into. So we can include that function as a friend so we can access it just in this function. Since I recently started using friend functions instead of friend classes, which I think is smarter, if a function needs to know or have access to private members of something else, we should keep it as local as possible to not accidentally expose private variables where they shouldn't be exposed. So I think, at least the way I've been doing it, that seems to be the way to go. So it's going to be sounds played event name plus plus. That's essentially what we want to do here. So if the key didn't exist, it does now, incremented by 1, it's played 1 time. If it already existed, it's going to get it, incremented 1 time. Done. So now I need to make this sounds played. I'm going to call it a sounds played log, actually, because it's not really meant to be used in general. So we're going to make it private, static, standard unordered map containing a standard string and an int for the value. And inside of here, we're going to call it sounds played log. We'll also initialize it in here. I think that's fine. It's not going to start with a specific value, so inline. Why can't I use static? Maybe Intel since is behind. But anyways, this is what I want. So it's initialized there. And then that should be good. So now we can analyze this sounds played log in player tests when we take damage. So let's start with, let's just follow this paradigm still. So the player gets hurt, we should expect a sound. We should expect specifically the player hit sound. So we're going to see if there is one entry, size t. No, it'll be an int. So if there's one entry inside of, so again, I'm going to include player test, player takes damage sound effects work, and add it to the sound effect class as a friend function. So it's going to look something like this. And I think I'm going to have to make up this namespace because it doesn't exist in here. Namespace player tests. And forward declare a player test class so that we can mention it in here. And this function, I think these are all just no argument functions, so it should look like this. And that needs to be defined in here as well. Like this. That should be everything we need to do. Wait, is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. Oh my god, I love that headband! Hi, Plasticky. Thank you. It's very cute, right? It's very cute. Thank you. Alright, so I think this is everything we have to do, so we can access sounds played log inside of here. So now I should be able to do sound effect. Sounds played log. I might have to include the actual header because this isn't a typical thing we include for a test. Sound effect.h. That should give us access to sounds played. Sound playing log. Size. Or not size, dot count of player hit. Because that is what the name of that event is called. And it says it's inaccessible. Maybe I implemented this wrong. Friend void, player test, player takes damage, sound effects work. Is that not what the function is called? Player tests, player test, player takes damage. Oh, it's inline. Is that gonna be a problem? I don't think the inline matters. Inline. So this is where it's defined. So it's like, it's defined there, so nowhere else in any like compilation unit is gonna know about it. I guess that's how I'm thinking of it right now. Since it's inline, we don't... Well, I'm just trying to let it know that this exists though. So it's like... It's like, I need to let it know that this exists, because if it doesn't, I don't think it compiles at all. I could be wrong, but I don't think it compiles right now without it knowing in advance that this function exists. Incomplete type is not allowed. So I'm trying to think, how did I do this elsewhere? Did I ever do this elsewhere? I mean, I kind of did something like it before. Like if I go to here and I go into its header file, we'll see we have friend void game. Game is a namespace. We kind of did that, but we did it in the global namespace. So it being in the class throws things off a little. Maybe it's because we didn't specify it's static. No, but it's not static. It's just a private function in that class. So yeah, it's just, this doesn't exist. It'd be like, it's because this is, well, it's an incomplete type, first of all. So defining it here makes sense, but then this doesn't reference the same thing as this because this is inline, I'm guessing, which is why this doesn't work in the first place. So do I have any other way to access it other than putting it somewhere else? Because we have global access to game. I guess I just have to friend class player test, right? That's really the only choice I have here. I can't do specifically that function. Because we can say this exists. It's not friend void anymore. So we can do that. I don't even know if I necessarily need this. Like, I might just be able to say this namespace exists. Yeah, I don't even think we need that. Do we need the namespace at least? Okay. So I think we can get rid of all that then. I think this is the best we're gonna do. Which is fine. I'm okay with that. And then back in here, this is now possible or accessible. So I just need to discount. Oh, count does return a size T. Okay. Wait, that's not what I want either, is it? I don't want the count of the key number. I want the actual value. So I'm gonna do at player hit. Because we should expect at least, well, I mean, we could do this, and it's kind of safe, because if it doesn't exist, it creates it at 0, right? It's default to 0, so that should be fine. And then, okay, so we get hurt, player hit, sounds played log should be 1. Get hurt one more time. We don't really have to check that. We just have to try getting hurt with a no damage number flag, which means there should still only have been 1 hit of player hit. And I think that's it. Let me just add this. So this is player hit sound should have played. Let's also do a damage over time effect and see what happens. So let's do another one. Damage over time effect should not increment it either. So we'll just say this is a dot instead. And we can just put any numbers here, it doesn't matter, as long as we don't accidentally kill the player. Oh, speaking of which, if we defeat the player, I think technically you can't hit them anymore. So I think it'll just result in no sound playing. So player hit sound should not play if there is no visible damage number. And same with if a dot tick occurs. So let's go ahead and run that unit test. We'll see what happens. So after this, we get to actually work on more stuff because we need to do more stuff. I actually want to find some kind of like sound effect for this move. And maybe, I'm pretty sure I tried to search for like a blizzard-ish like sound effect before, like snowy effect, but I couldn't find anything that was really accessible or easy or free to use, I guess. So maybe I can look again, but let me see. I need it from a site with just like a simple sharing. I mean, royalty free probably is fine. Let me see. Okay, that's fine. I don't know why I didn't find this before, but that one's probably okay. Whoa. So that's 11 minutes long. I think this one's fine. What format is it in, I wonder? Also, your great title. Yeah, this is what I have to look at, because this is important. Subject to the prohibited uses, the content license allows users to use the content for free, use content without having to attribute the author, modify or adapt content into new works. You cannot sell or distribute the content on a standalone basis. If content contains recognizable trademarks, logos, or brands, you cannot use that content for commercial purposes. You cannot use content in any immoral or illegal way. You cannot use it in a misleading way. You cannot use it as part of a trademark. Okay. So, we don't do that. Pixabay is great. Okay, good to know. The license looks good too. And I'll probably look at this in more detail later, because this is obviously more of the legalese of it, but the summary seems good. So I will... Yeah, only the full content license is legally binding. You agree to comply by it. Royalty-free images, videos, audio, and media. Okay. I think this is gonna be okay. If anything, one smart thing to do as a game dev is, if you're gonna pull assets from somewhere though, is to make an annotation of it. That way you just know where stuff is coming from, right? So I have a credits file, and I just throw every, like, attribution into it, just in case. You never know if you have to figure out where the heck did I get this from. So, it's a smart idea to do so. I just keep everything in here, in case I have to access something, so... Even if you don't need to credit, I could credit, and I would like to know at least where it's from. Preferably with the website. Or something like the website. Can I, like, directly... Okay, that's better. So just a good idea. It's also nice to just credit the creators. I do agree. So... Now that I have this, this is MP3, and my engine prefers OGG, so I will do a quick conversion of that. At least I think I need OGG. That's what I saw all the sound effects being in. Yeah, typically using OGG only because it's still a compressed format, but also it can be looped seamlessly. Unfortunately, MP3s, unless you use like the right kind of software, some software can fix it, but MP3s can sometimes not loop properly. There's like something, it has something to do with like the format, the file format. Like there's a certain like size of bytes that it's supposed to be, and some editors don't respect it, so then you end up with a loop that doesn't loop. That doesn't loop perfectly, so I prefer OGG. And I'm just gonna do that. Yeah. And I found, at least with the mini audio code I'm using, that OGG just actually loops while MP3 sometimes doesn't, so that was something we were dealing with a long time ago. I have no idea where I just saved this. Okay, there it is. I'm just gonna call it Blizzard. So we can apply that to the Blizzard spell. And then I want one for the freeze ground, which I think should sound like some kind of like ice cracking-ish. But since we have this Blizzard sound effect now, I'm gonna go to my effect text file again. And we're gonna add it to that list. Effects. Not effects, events. So in here, I try to keep them in alphabetical order. So this is a blizzard. Just gonna put it right here. It is a combat sound. And it uses blizzard.ogg. And then once I try it in game, I'll adjust the volume accordingly. But I like to start everything at 70%. Usually 100 is always too loud, relative to every other sound. So there's a blizzard. So I'm looking for like ice cracking, kind of. Either like ice, because when ice freezes, it like, or ice melts, it starts cracking. I'm kind of looking for something like that. I don't know how else to describe that sound. Ice break, maybe that. Okay, I kind of like that one. One's too much. Ooh, okay, this one. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I don't really want the cracking of ice melting. I wanted it freezing, and yeah. So I wasn't thinking of like ice melting cracking. I was thinking of ice freezing over, which also makes sound. At least I think it makes sound. I've never actually heard it in real life. But that sounds very close to what I'm looking for. That one's okay too. I think we'll go with this one. It's short and sweet. It kind of does what I want to. Also from that same user. So I'll just do the same thing here. This is... Ice freezing. Okay. I don't think that actually happens. I feel like that might be a Hollywood thing. Okay, fair. Very fair. Like, I've never actually heard it, right? So I'm like, either it's just never occurred in real life, or it actually doesn't exist. Like, according to this, it's, well, actually, let's just look it up, right? Does ice make a sound while freezing? Why is it in all caps? Why does ice make a popping or cracking sound? Because it's cracking. Ice has a relatively high degree of flexibility to shift and... Wait, hold on. Let me see. I saw the summary. Yeah. Expansion pressure. Ice has a relatively high degree of flexibility to shift and... I can't believe we're looking up ice right now. To shift and distort during the freezing process. Similar to how glacier ice will slowly flow down a mountain, when expansion pressure exceeds the ice's capacity to bend, because it gets larger, right? Like, you can see a water bottle expands. The sound must be the actual expansion, depending on what it's, like, filling into. When expansion pressure exceeds the ice's capacity to bend, it will fracture and shift, creating vibrations and ominous cracking sounds. Today I learned. The immense pressure contouring the ice will also bend a pier along with it. Frozen crack. Ice expand. Now we know. Temperature of the ice can also cause fissures and cracks, with dropping temperatures resulting in contraction, warming events leading to expansion. This is why we often hear the most cracking while it is rapidly forming, or as air temperatures quickly rise and fall during morning and evening hours. Cool. Good to know. Like, I always knew it was a thing, but I've never heard it in real life. Probably because I never lived in a cold area. Like, actually cold, freezing area. I don't think I would want to either. Props to anybody who lives in freezing temperatures on a daily basis. You are tougher than I am. So I'm gonna call this ice freeze. Ice underscore freeze. Put it down here. Actually, I'll call it freezing ice. I need to be careful about naming it differently because I'm gonna get confused later. But yeah, I'll call this event freezing ice. This is ice underscore freezing dot .ogg or ice underscore freeze. Started at 70%. So I want to play the blizzard sound effect for the blizzard spell, of course. Let me go back to monster ability. And here under blizzard, I wonder if I should play it in the effect. Let me think about that. Yeah, it's like no matter what the blizzard is, I want it to play when it spawns. So I think I do want it in this constructor. So let me just go in. Can I go in there, please? I don't know why it's not popping up. Sometimes Visual Studio, you don't help me. So in here, we want to do a... I'm gonna probably have to include sound effects. Let me see. Sound effect. Oh. Okay. Include sound effect. Sound effect. Play SFX. And we're playing Blizzard at our position. It freezes here in the winter, but I've never heard the sound of ice freezing. Yeah, like I said, I have been in situations that were cold, rarely, but yeah, I've never encountered it in my life. And then we're going to freeze ground, and essentially the same thing. When it spawns, we'll also play the sound effect. Include sound effect. And we're gonna play freezing ground. Freezing ice. At position. So I think that's it. I could make it environmental, but I don't really want to deal... Actually, how hard is it to make environmental? I think you have to, like, actually add it. Like, let me see. Game... Or is it a class itself? Because I was thinking, like, what if you, like, walk away from it, right? Like, technically, it should get quieter. But environmental audio means I have to hold that data, like storage, which means it has to go in effects.h as something I control in this class itself. So let's go in effect.h, go down to Blizzard, and let's add a environmental audio object. Because I imagine at least the Blizzard one was a little long, right? It was like 7 seconds or something. So imagine it spawned and you're walking around and you're just hearing full volume Blizzard sound effect. Okay, yeah, it's 15 seconds long. I might have to actually cut that. Let me see. Let me think. If anything, I'm gonna have to fade it out at least. Okay, yeah. We're gonna need to fade it out. I'm not sure about the logistics of that yet, but we'll get there. But it's too long. Anyway, environmental audio lets me create an environmental audio object. We're gonna call this the Blizzard sound effect. Because if you walk away from it, you don't want to be hearing like the full brunt of that sound. It should be getting quieter if you walk away from it. That would be realistic. So we're gonna need an environmental sound instead. And I guess we have to initialize it. How do I set this up? It's been a minute. Because the constructor has nothing... Oh, that's static. Don't do that. So provide the audio name and a position. I assume the audio... Is that not an event name? Let's see. We load it from sound data, so it is an event name. Okay. I think... Hold on. Is that right? Environmental audio. Oh, that's a whole different thing. Okay. Well, that's fair. I'm going to make at least the Blizzard sound effect an environmental one. The ice cracking one is a lot shorter, so it doesn't really need that. But definitely the Blizzard one, because Blizzard lasts for 10 seconds. And so since it's on the field for 10 seconds, that one, it will be very noticeable if it's not environmental. So we're gonna do that. I guess I'll keep it 100% for the time being. Okay. So in here, we have to set it up with via the constructor. So I'm just gonna do that up here. Blizzard SFX. We provide the audio name, which is Blizzard. And then we provide... What else? We provide the position it's happening at, so our pause. It's not going to move or anything. And then I think you just run activate. That'll load and play it, sets the pitch randomly, that's fine. And we deactivate where we want, and then I think the volume happens on its own. By calling activate, I think it adds it to the list. Sound instance. When does it add it to the list? Because this is environmental audio data. Where does this get modified? Or populated, I guess. Because we have to iterate through it to actually update them. But how do we populate it? That's what I want to know. Maybe in the constructor? Under initialize. This is just the sound data itself. The constructor doesn't do anything. Activate, deactivate, update. I mean, we could update it manually if we want to. I think the environmental audio thing is just for... Oh, it's by current map. Okay, so it gets loaded when the map gets loaded. But if we call the update function ourselves, we should be okay. Because this just sets the volume in pan and deactivates when it's out of range. Okay. Cool. And then, of course, when this is destroyed, we need to also get rid of it. You know, I should add a destructor here that does deactivate, because naturally we have to unload it when it's deactivated. So, yeah. I'm kind of surprised I don't do that. We don't, like, clean up after ourselves. Which is why I think a long time ago, I remember when I first added environmental audio and we went into the camp with the campfire. After that, I, like, went to a level and we just kept hearing the campfire sound the entire level. And then we loaded into the map again, and then there were 2 campfire sounds, and it just got worse and worse. And I'm like, oh no. So naturally I added something to deactivate them automatically, but I think they're supposed to get destroyed. So I want to add a custom constructor or destructor function for that. Environmental. If I can type, that would be nice. And in the destructor, then we can do the deactivate stuff. Environmental audio. Destructor. And let's just call deactivate. Just to be extra safe, right? While it's getting destroyed. That just makes sure it unloads the sound and stops playing it if it needs to. Okay, so now we're back here. That means when the blizzard gets destroyed, the sound instance gets destroyed too. But technically I want to fade it out. So it's more like I have to manually fade it out as the blizzard is dying off, before the blizzard actually dies. So let's do something like this. We're going to do blizzard sfx.update in here. And then inside of here, we'll adjust the... We'll start the fade out once the tick timer is like less than 1. Just lerp it, linearly interpolate it from whatever the original volume was to 0. Do we know what the original volume is? I guess we would know from sound data, so I might have to pull it straight from there. Oops, I moved the window. So, yeah, let's try that. So if tick timer is less than or equal to 1, we'll start a 1 second fade out. We're gonna need to lerp between 1 second to 0 seconds. So that means from 0 to 1. Let's do it the other way. From 1... At 1, it should be whatever the max volume is supposed to be. So sound data, which I think I have to include. I assume it's a global. Include sound data? No? Excuse me. What is sound data? Is that just in here? Okay, it's part of environmental audio, and it's a global? Is it global or is it static? It's static public. No, it's static private. Okay, so I want a friend class Blizzard for this, I guess. We can even go one step further in friend class Blizzard update, because we only care about it in here. Friend bool Blizzard update. Which should be okay. Bless you, thank you. So with that included, we should have access to it, so then we can say environmental audio. Sound data of Blizzard. And we're looking for... Is this a safe map? It's not. So I'm gonna do .at. I want it to yell at me if it doesn't exist. In fact, I should just make it a safe map. Why not, right? There's no reason not to. I would have to adjust some things. I'm not gonna focus on it right now, but we'll at least do that to make it safe. So, volume. I think the volume, I don't know if it's, oh, there it is. I wrote a comment, because sometimes I get confused when I put percentages in my configs. I'm like, did I make the variable a float from 0 to 1, or did I leave it as the percent, like from 0 to 100%? So in this case, I made a comment, so that way I knew. I prepared for the future. So anyways, this is the volume. It's going to start at that and go towards 0 using the, and since tick timer is 1, I'm just going to put a tick timer here, but I do like to do this to just indicate, hey, this is why we're using tick timer by itself. We're dividing by 1, but it only goes up to 1. So that's fine. Inaccessible. It should be accessible now. Friendbool Blizzard update. Float. I'm starting to think this doesn't work for static or inline. I feel like it should, though. That's kind of weird. Wait, does it work if I do friend class? Like, why doesn't this work? I feel like it should, right? Okay, so maybe I have to, like, define it. I didn't think about that, right? So, if I do this, I might have to, okay, there we go. Now it's doing it. Well, oh wait, hold on. I might have to include the Blizzard class in here. Like to say it exists or something. Would that make any sense? I'm not sure. So now, yeah, now it says it's not okay. So only when I include the class. So I must be missing something with this friend function thing. I'm not sure what... Yeah, I don't understand. But that doesn't work, so we're just gonna go with friend class. I might have to do more research on that, because I've encountered that twice now, today, and it just doesn't make sense to me. At least my understanding is that I should be able to just do that, but we'll friend class it, like so. Actually, is it a struct? It's a struct, so let's just... It'll still compile, it'll just complain that, hey, it should be a struct, not a class. So after we lerp, we need to set the sound effect. I don't know if we have access to that. Oh, here it is. We do. So the sound instance is an ID in the mini audio engine. So we have to call set pan on the audio engine, which I think sound effect, maybe even environmental audio has a pointer to the engine. Let's see. Oh, we actually have a set pause. Well, we don't want that. We actually want to just set the pan. So yeah, we're gonna have to call the actual audio engine and set the pan that way. Audio engine and set volume. So we're basically doing a fade out here using this ID. So that's sound instance. And we're setting the volume to this, linearly interpolated. It expects a value between 0 and 1, so we are providing that. As the tick timer decreases... Oh, this is backwards. This is what it should be at 0. So at 0... No, at 0 it should be at full volume, whatever the volume setting is. At... No, I have this backwards, right? At 1, it should be at full volume. 1 second remaining. At 0, it should be 0 in volume. So yes, that's correct. So with that out of the way, we should now expect it to fade out over the course of the last second it's alive. I guess it's time to try it. Oh, did I ever do the test? I don't think I did I? We got carried away. But let's try it now. So... it was in player. I should do it for monster as well, but we're gonna do this one first. So I'm gonna run it. Yeah, and this is just a small extra touch-up, but I do like to have little sound effects for these. Do I need some for the other abilities? Let me see. So Meteor and Firebolt. Meteor already plays a sound effect, so that's fine. Actually, Firebolt does too. Yeah, these already have sound effects, I think. I'm pretty sure it plays it when it's created. If not, we have to, like, move it. Because it might actually spawn from the player instance, casting it. Yeah, there it is. So... it just plays, well, it plays on hit. There should be an effect when it comes out. player hit, play sound effect, play... Yeah, we're missing that. So let me go to the wizard class, because when the wizard uses it, it creates a sound effect. And I kind of want that but for the monster. So firebolt, yeah, it does it here. So I would like to move it to the on creation of the firebolt, that way it's tied to it. Same with the lightning bolt. I have a feeling we'll be using the lightning bolt as well. So let's move both of these play sound effects into when the class gets created itself. Because that makes more sense. Hello? It doesn't want to find it for me, so I'll just go to it. So we can just add it here. And then move this one from here into lightning bolt, which I need to search for. And put you inside the constructor as well. Okay. So unit testing is occurring. Did it work? No. It just failed. Oh, we're supposed to return. I forgot about that part. We don't want to do everything else, because the audio engine does not get initialized in testing mode. So if we try to play any sounds and invoke the audio engine, it will cry. So we don't want that. Let's run it again. Okay, so this test is passing, which means damage sound effects do work when, well, they work normally. That also means that we can properly test for sound effects playing now. And same with it not playing when there's a no damage number flag or a dot flag. I guess we kind of tested it, well, monsters invoke a different hurt function, so we should test it on the monster side too. Just to be safe. That way we know we didn't mess up any code. So deal 5 damage, and sound effects play. Sound effects. Play. Damage sound effects play. So for this one, which event gets played? It's like monster hit, monster hurt. So that's the event we would be concerned with inside of monster tests. So let me just change testing. Oh, let me grab these and we'll just change those to call monster instead. Is that fine? That's fine. So replace player pointer with monster dot. Oops, I typed that with the capital. Test monster. Okay. Oh, and we also have to give friend class privileges to this class too, which is called monster tests. Like so. And finally, we're changing this to monster hurt. And change these to be monster hit sound. And that should test effectively the same thing, but on the other side for the monsters. So let me try and build this. Sound effect is not... oh, it's an incomplete type. Include sound effect. Okay. Gotta rebuild. And then after this, I guess we can go in-game and just see how it sounds. Adjust the volumes if we want. Make sure the fade-out works. That'd be nice. Maybe I should make a fade-out function. This is kind of useful, just in general. It would obviously be for a environmental audio effect, but yeah, that would be nice. Monster test is not a class or namespace name. I'm gonna have to, like, predefine it. Just tell it, hey, this exists, I promise. Please accept it. I don't know if it just needs the namespace. It might need both. Let me just try the namespace. Actually, that's not correct syntax. I have to do this. Okay. Alright, it should fail in a minute here, or maybe it hasn't needed to... yeah. Can we just... stop building? Yeah, I can't find the break key on my new keyboard. It's a smaller keyboard, so... just... I have to actually go up and hit it. Maybe I should change the key. I'm like, I don't know... it... because, like, I have pause, which typically is the break key, but this is literally just a pause key. So... oh, hey, it worked! It's labeled pause, but it's actually the break key. Okay. It must be the same thing. Like, I probably just didn't realize. Cool. I'm like, oh, it works. Good. Oopsie. Alright, just waiting for it to build. Run those unit tests, and then we'll be good from there. So build succeeded. Let's run monster, deal 5 damage and play and damage sound effects play. Well, actually, it's not deal 5 damage anymore. Now it's like... it's whatever the player test was doing. It's dealing 30 damage, 55 damage. I don't know how much health this thing has. It might just die. I think it only has 30 health. It might just die. So this test might actually fail. Because it can't hurt. Yeah, it's gonna fail because the monster died in the middle of it. Monster hit sound should have played. I agree. Can we make this bigger? I think I made this pop... yeah, I made a pop-up over here before. Let me see. There we go. So yeah, expected 1, actual 0, because the monster died on line 152. Yeah. Although, it should still technically play it. No, it just plays the kill sound. It doesn't play the hurt sound. Otherwise, it would sound kind of weird. So, yeah. That makes sense. Let me change it to 5. I can do 5 on these too. It won't die. And just rerun the test. I just think that's funny. We accidentally killed it. Alright, hopefully it passes now. There shouldn't be a reason it doesn't. It still did. Am I checking the wrong thing? Monster hurt. No? It should have played. Why didn't it play? Hurt. Play hit sound effect. If play hit sound effect, play get hurt sound. Oh, this could vary. Although I think it normally is monster hurt. Like, what monster is this? Oh, test monster. I don't think test monster has a hurt sound built in, so that might actually be the problem. Maybe I should load up a real monster. But let me see if I can adjust it real quick. Where's the test monster? Alright, test monster data. Let's just take a look. Test monster data. What am I looking for? Hurt sound? Okay, hurt sound. So I can specify here it's monster hurt, and that should actually play it. Because I don't think it was... I think before it was invalid, so... I remember we have a condition inside play sound effect that says if it's blank, it just doesn't do anything. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened. It just early returns. So this one should be a little bit nicer. Hopefully. Okay. Test passes now. Before I commit everything, because we made some small changes, I am going to run this test in Test Explorer. Oh, actually, let's play the game. Let me build it real quick, and then I'll just let it run while I do the... Yeah. Set as start a project, hit build. And then I have another little script. So what I can do is... I don't have to necessarily run it through the debugger. I can just run this little script here called run game. And run game should load the latest, should load whatever executable is in the release build folder. Oh, not the shell script, the bat script. And this should... Yeah, it just runs whatever's in the release folder without me having to run the debugger. And it sets the working directory correctly so that all the resources are from the same location. So that should be fine. Just have to wait for the build to complete and then we'll try it real quick. I really should make it so this can open in Visual Studio Code. I don't actually know how I would do that because I hit edit here and it opens Notepad. Is that like default programs maybe? Because I kind of want to change that. I don't... Now that Notepad takes forever to open, I don't actually want that to be the default app anymore. So I guess I'm looking for... What am I looking for here? Apps. Notepad? Oh, I see how they do this. So I would have to type a file type, so bat. .bat. Why isn't this working? Enter a file type or link type, like... I don't know what would go in this box. .bat. It's not an option. What about here? What would this be? Command prompt? Choose defaults by file type. That's what I thought I was doing. Oh, it must already exist. Maybe that's why. Yeah, there's nothing to show. It's supposed to be BAT, I'm pretty sure. BA. There's no BAT. Is this just like built into Windows? Does it just like literally default to opening the edit in Notepad every time? Let me look for like edit. Edit. Choose defaults by link type. What What does it mean by link type? OneNote CMD? No. I'm so confused. I guess I could look up later how to do this. This is not important. Monster Test is not a member of Oh, okay. So I was supposed to do this. Dang it. Okay. One more rebuild then. It's just probably the include order for the release build is different. So it probably didn't... It probably was working in the unit testing build, but not the release build. Which is fine. Fun, fun, fun. After this, let's look at the next spell. The next spell is supposed to be just a buff to nearby targets. So it might have like a little circle appear to indicate like this is the range that gets buffed. I kind of want a little like particle effect of like little particles rising up into the sky and fading away. And it just buffs whatever's in that circle. And that's really it. So it's kind of a simple spell. It's not really that complex. I think we should be able to implement that one today as well. I'll think of an appropriate sound effect for it. I might not even do a sound effect, honestly. Maybe a little like bloop or something. We might just make it in our little sound maker thing. I like messing with that sometimes. I'm sure we can find one. I don't even know if I still have it. I might have stuffed it in... Did I stuff in documents? Is it Chiptone? I think it's Chiptone. Yeah. We haven't been here in a minute. Yeah, something like that. That's what I'm thinking of. Lots of external... Uh-oh. Do I have a... I have a circular... What? Do I have a circular, like, header reference issue? It's a linker error, so... That's a little scary. Oh wait, I'm just building wrong. I'm building in the wrong project, that's why. Wait, no, I'm building in the right project. I'm confused. This is release desktop. I hit build. But it says 2 projects were trying to be built. No, we're not building unit testing. I don't know why it's saying unit testing. Set as start project? Was it just not in the right... It was highlighted. What? It says... Like, if we look at this, it's literally for Adventures in Lestoria tests, which doesn't make sense because I'm not trying to build that right now. I'm in release desktop. I'm just gonna restart Visual Studio. I'm confused. Like, it must think I'm in a different project or something. I still have example open. I guess I'm gonna close that. Let me try this again. So this looks okay. I'm just gonna hit build. Okay, so it works. Like, I don't understand what happened here. I must have done something silly. Well, we might as well view it now while we're waiting. I was gonna do a full unit test, but I don't know. Hi there, Sour. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I don't think I have Blizzard enabled, so I'm going to... Well, we're just gonna hear the freeze ground thing, I guess. But I need to re-enable that one. So I'm gonna uncomment this. And let's just at least hear this real quick. Since we're already here. Oh, we just crash. We might have to load it through resource pack, I think. I don't think the sound exists, that's why. Yeah, probably just couldn't find it in the resource pack. I didn't know sound effects go in the resource pack. But let's do that. I just have to delete it real quick and let it repopulate. I guess that makes sense. I don't remember including the sound effects folder in the release build, so I think that makes sense. Let's try again. Was that like loading a map? Let me see. I'm just pulling up the log real quick. I kind of want to dock this one too. At least while playing, that would be nice. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make this appear like here while we're in here, I guess. That'll be fine. Oh, not the... Wait. No, that's fine. I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay. So anyways... I built a browser extension framework in Rust. Lets you create web extensions with zero JavaScript and HTML. It's called Oxychrome. Oxychrome. Would love your feedback on it. What is it? Lets you create web extensions with zero JavaScript and HTML. Well, how do you do that? How does that work? Does it still crash? Yeah. Maybe it just doesn't know what the name is? Let me see. It's trying to call play and it's not playing. Does the file not exist? Maybe the file doesn't exist. Load from file and decode it. So it failed to decode. Okay. I probably put the wrong file name by accident. It's supposed to be called ice_free. Oh, I put the MP3 in here, that's why. It's supposed to be the OGG. Oops. Let me try that again, I guess. I thought it was a... Did I name it MP3 by accident? But it's an OGG file? That'd be funny. You just write Rust, it compiles to WASM, and all required glue code is auto-generated. Rust macro magic. Oh. I think it would be a lot more beneficial if I knew Rust first before I looked at it. I don't know any Rust, so I can't actually evaluate it. Well, that's not true. I know some Rust, but I'm not enough to actually do anything with it. I would have to spend... Like, I would have to read tutorials and make a couple things before I could probably use the language. But I'm at a point where I could do Hello World, essentially, with Rust, so I don't really think I can do anything with it, even if I wanted to. That took forever to open. Goodness. Okay. I'm gonna do this again, I guess. Blizzard, or not Blizzard, ice_freeze, and it is .ogg. I don't know why it wasn't before. I feel like I accidentally made it MP3 by accident. Well, Hello World Rust is better than no Rust at all. I mean, fair. Literally just print function Hello World. What do I call it? Freezing? Yeah. Freezing ice. Ice_freeze.ogg. So I think I have to flip that. Okay, no, I got it. Alright, I'll run it again. Also, I subbed to your channel. I love 2D games and hope to build them someday. I hope I see more of your content. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I appreciate the sub. It's always nice to have new viewers come by and talk about programming with. I always enjoy that. Alright, we'll actually play now. That's the wrong... Oh, that's the wrong sound effect. I wanted the ice freeze one, not the blizzard one. So I just never converted it, I guess. Oh, that's what I did. I just threw the ice freeze file in here and I converted the blizzard. That's what I did. No wonder I'm confused. So I need to convert this file. Okay. Yeah. Wait, is this right? It's quiet. Or is my Audacity quiet? Why is it so quiet? Is my Audacity quiet for some reason? Volume... This thing's useless. I hate this. Okay, sound settings. Volume mixer, actually. Okay, my Audacity is normal volume. Is it really just that quiet? Oh, it's playing through my headphones, that's why. Okay, playback device. I'm like, why am I hearing it but not hearing it? Oh crud. Which one? Probably this one. Nope, that's definitely not it. Oh, here we go. There we go. I'm like, where is the sound? Alright. Ice freezing. Do you create your own music and graphics? Not really. I did at first, and then I'm like, this is too tedious, so I stopped. And I had a pixel artist friend do it for me instead. And I have a local here who does the music for the game. So I have completely outsourced it because I didn't want to deal with it. It got too tedious, and I guess boring is the word for it. Wait, this is the MP3 again. I'm doing the same thing. I need this one. Ice_freeze. Oh, wait. Now I'm even more confused. Alright. What is this sound? Okay, that's the blizzard one, so that's one we don't want. So... Alright, I understand now. Export. Ice_freeze. I never start with game dev because of those two blockers. Well, the good news is that even if you can't, you can be like me and find some placeholder assets that kind of look like what you want and start with those. Because for me, I enjoy the programming, so as you can see, I spend all my time working on the game on the programming side of things. Basically, one of my Discord community members, like, I basically said, like, I need a project to do. I'm looking to do a very serious project. Does anybody have any ideas, right? Like, usually a lot of people have ideas. So I took in ideas and found one that I really could vibe with, and then I decided to go with it. And I told them that I wanted them to do the game design and the level design. So they basically designed what the whole game is, and I'm basically doing the programming for it. And then at first I was doing some of the graphics because I'm like, this is kind of cool. I'm making some stuff, and then eventually I started outsourcing it because I'm like, okay, now if we want to seriously finish this game with all the assets we're gonna need, I can't be the one doing all of this. Okay, so I'm happy with this. This is more or less doing what I wanted to do, so I'm happy. And you can hear the sound effects. So I need to turn on the blizzard spell now, because Actually, it should be on right now. I guess it's probably just gonna have a low chance of being casted because it has a 20% chance every second to cast this, and this costs 30 MP. Oh, I made it 50 by accident. My bad. You know, this should actually be an error. Like, I should write something that says your percentages are not 100%. Or over 100%, because, well, I don't know. But this is supposed to be 20%, not 60. That was for testing. I had a game idea, maybe I'll just start on it. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, just start making games. Do it because you want to. For fun. Don't do it because you are inhibited by like the creative aspects, because for me finding the right assets is part of the fun. Like, yes, I don't create the assets, but finding the assets that I envision for the game is part of the fun. So like when I work with my soundtrack or music designer, I have a certain vision in mind, so I tell it to him. We both like try to work together to agree that this is what we want it to sound like, and it's part of the creative process, right? For him, making the music is the fun. That's definitely not how it should be. What? I'm very confused by what I'm hearing. It's like it repeats 4 or 5 times, and then it plays normally. Also, I don't think the environmental part is working because I'm running away, and I still hear it at essentially full volume. Okay, so I think it repeats every second for some reason. Did I put it in like the tick loop by accident? I mean, I have... Oh wait, Blizzard. Did I? I call update... set volume, but that's not... Wait. Yeah, set volume, Blizzard sound effect. We initialize the audio up here at this position. It shouldn't be created more than once, so I'm a little confused. Alright, we're gonna have to debug this one. This is kind of weird and not what I was expecting at all. Let's start with the creation of it. So when this constructor is called, let's breakpoint here. And I'm probably gonna make it so this is the only spell that it can cast. That way it doesn't keep casting freeze ground. I work in Web 3. Game dev's kind of always been a distant hobby. Oh, cool. Nice. I think I typically see web devs the most. But yeah, for a lot of folks, making games is fun. Programming a game is a very big challenge. There's a lot to learn from making a game. So I like to hear when people like want to do it as like a hobby, because it's like, yeah, it's gonna really like sharpen your skills. Because there's so many things you have to consider, so many things you have to build, especially if you use like a framework like I do, where you basically build a game engine from the ground up. Like, even though the header file is called OLC Pixel Game Engine, it's really just like a framework. It gives you the ability to render to the screen, gives you basic keyboard and mouse input, and you do the rest. So hardly a game engine, but definitely enough to start making stuff work. And so I decided this was a perfect opportunity to make this game with. And for whatever reason, maybe it was just like the way I felt about how like Unity, because at the time I was trying to use Unity before I progressed into this, and I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable with how the pipeline works. Like, I feel like I have just less overall control, because a lot of the... You have to learn the engine, essentially, right? If you're going to use a game engine, you have to learn the engine. And so, I didn't really like how Unity was shaped. So then I kind of tried to find just a simple, hey, I want to put things on screen. I can make everything else work. I can program it all. I decided to go like the extreme other route after trying Unity. Godot didn't exist at the time when I was learning Unity, so we're talking much, much further back, but Unity's been around for a while. Bevy, probably? Yep, Bevy. It wasn't mature back then, now it is. Yeah, somebody told me if I wanted to try game dev with Rust, Bevy's a good choice. Okay, so I'm interested in this specifically. We're in debug mode, so we should be able to follow it all the way down. From the constructor to everything else. So it should be calling this constructor. Wait, what? It triggered this again. And again. So, it seems like we're creating the blizzard multiple times. Interesting. Do I have a bug in my spell system? Because, if anything, I would not have caught that without the sound effect playing over and over. Or, well, debugging, of course, but... Okay, that's interesting. So, we might have a bug with our spellcasting system, actually. Because that is triggering 4 times. Which is why we heard the sound effect start over and over. Okay, let's go to perform spell and start from there. Because now the problem is even different than I was expecting at all. It's like, I thought we were done here. This is like higher level stuff. I thought we were done with trying to make a monster cast a spell. Apparently not. And we can quickly look at the actual lambda. All it does is add 1 effect. Unless... I don't think it copies. Wouldn't it be insane if it like copies 4 times? Because this is in the constructor of Blizzard, so if a Blizzard gets constructed over and over, then technically it would keep playing the sound effect, but by the time it should be constructed, it should only be, like, this pointer should be moved around, this unique pointer. It should not keep, like, making more pointers. So we might have something more sinister going on than we initially imagined. Alright, try it again. Okay, so perform spell hit. Just looking at cast data real quick, just to make sure we're okay. I mean, it looks fine. Cast timer is currently expired. So it should have performed the spell, right? Done. MP gets subtracted from the monster as 5 MP remaining. Everything looks good so far, so spell has been casted. I'm gonna press F5. So it's only 1 cast, which I guess is a good thing because, well, this should have only called once, so that's... Wait a second, what? Okay, yes, 4 spells. Let's go into cast spell. Or into here. which will add the blizzard effect. So we're gonna go, presumably, let's see if this hits 4 times. 1. Okay, it just adds 1 effect. What's interesting is this is occurring every second. So what is running every second? Because in freeze ground, we have something that runs every second, but it can't be that because we're in blizzard, right? I'll have to think about that for a minute. But I will be right back. I just need to take a quick bathroom break, so. Just wait 1 moment, please. Alright, so let's find out what is happening with this. So clearly we're only adding the effect 1 time. We've confirmed that. So let's go into... So I guess the constructor is getting called 4 times somehow, which is interesting. But let's just step into this function. So that's that. We got get attack, get float, get pixels. Okay, so now we're in here, and presumably we are just setting all these parameters. So that's to initialize a pixel, VF2D, another VF2D, multiplication, division, just a bunch of random stuff, right? Okay, and then the effect constructor, which that's fine, that doesn't do anything important for us. Just keep going. Okay, So all this has been initialized, including, well, okay, Blizzard SFX has not yet. It's just kind of jumping around here. Still has not been initialized yet. And okay, now we're in here. So this is the environmental audio being initialized. It's not activated. Do I have to activate it? Is that what's happening? I don't think so. I think I just have to call update. Maybe it's the update that's messing things up. Alright, well, that's pretty much it, and then it's gonna do all that over and over. So we're like now in here, right? Where it calls this update function. So distance from player resolves to 0 because we're literally standing on it. So it's activated. We set the volume, which should be 1.0. So everything should be good as far as I can tell. Yeah, nothing really looks wrong there. I guess the question is, why is it so... Oh, you know what? It's actually just fading in and out. The tick timer keeps resetting back to tick rate. I forgot about this. So we can't use its lifetime per se. We have to wait. Oh no, we do use its lifetime. So we have to say if the lifetime, I guess, is less than or equal to 1, not the tick timer. The lifetime indicates how long this is supposed to remain alive. And then use lifetime here for the lerp, because it's going to start at less than or equal to 1. So that would be the lifetime. I guess it would yeah. That pretty much will fix it. At least I hope it fixes it. So that would mean the volume constantly gets set back, like 0 to 1, but it's also not based on distance. So that's another thing. I think we have to update it. So let's think about this. We have to actually get what the current volume is from here and lerp from 0 to whatever the volume is supposed to be, not the default volume, because this assumes you're like literally standing on top of it, because this is 100% volume. So we actually don't want that value, which is why we just heard it at full volume even when we walked far away, is we didn't account for what happened here. So we have to call like get volume, I think is a function. Let's see. So get, well, I guess we can get the sound because we have the ID. Get sounds, and this is like our way of accessing like the raw mini audio engine if we have to. Blizzard SFX dot, I think it's just sound instance. Oh, okay, it's in there, it's a vector. So we can do at our sound ID or sound instance. And then we can access the mini audio, which I think is just, is it MA? Or is it get engine? It's get engine, which gives us access to mini audio itself. So from here, wait, that's not right. How do we access mini audio? That is it. So why do we have not we don't have access to any of mini audio's functions? I feel like we should. Oh, they're like called like MA something, right? Like MA underscore audio set. Oh god, this is gonna be a pain to find. I'm gonna have to look it up. But get volumes. Well, where's set volume, right? We'll just dig into the source here. Set volume. Okay, that doesn't help. Update volume, which sets the volume in here, which if we go into mini audio... Come on. Okay, maybe not. Mini audio. Or, oh, see, Pegix mini audio? Okay, because this is still like a higher level extension. That's the Pixel Game Engine. That's mini audio, so it's MA sound set volume. So, do we have a get volume? It doesn't look like it. Only a set volume. Well, this is only in the PegX, right? So we can go one step further and look in mini audio to see... Oh, there it is. MA sound get volume. So, if anything, at least we can reference that. So we'll come back out here. And I could make a higher level get audio function if I wanted to. But I'll just do this. We only need this for one time. Like, typically we don't need what the volume is at any given moment. So this is supposed to be a MA sound pointer. So we're supposed to take this now and... Let me see. Is that what this is, actually? This return... God, this is such a mess. It's also... Visual Studio also is like giving up on me. I might have to clear the database again. But yes, it gives me an MA sound pointer. So MA sound get volume should now be allowed. And I can use that to retrieve what the current volume is. And from there, we should have a float. So this is Blizzard adjusted volume. And then now that we have this, we adjusted the volume from 0 to the adjusted volume for the linear interpolation when fading out. So yeah, I think it would be nice to have a get volume for this. Let's just add it now, because we're probably going to use it for certain effects in the future. It's just we haven't needed to yet. This is for... We need, Wait. But this has a local value. Like, this is for an audio instance. So this actually is... Yeah, that's for sound effects, but we need, like, a get volume that's not for sound effects. Funny enough. It's like this function here. I guess we would be modifying the header. Do I care for that? I guess I do. That would be nice. Let's just add it real quick. So mini audio, get volume. Sure, why not? For ID, it returns a float. Get volume, Beck sounds ID. And then we just have to make a return here, and we have to declare it above. Let's go return a float. Show nails, just on command. Let's see if I can get them close enough in the camera for you. Whee! They're pretty. There used to be Kuromi heads on these two, but they fell off. So now they're just like kind of... Thank you. Now they're just kind of there, but they're still cute. I think I have an actual picture. Let me see. I do. I have pics. Alright, let me see here. Pictures. 8613. Why is this in... What order is this in? This is in reverse date chronological order. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so I do have the picks. So there's my left. You see that that was the Kuromi before. And then that was my right hand. There was another Kuromi on it too. I tried to have long nails, but I can't type with them. Yeah, that's why I had to change keyboards, because I'm like, if I'm going to program seriously, I need a keyboard that has very light switches, and when you press down, you're not pressing into the keyboard. So only very specific keyboard designs actually work with longer nails. Yeah, I have a very, very wonderful nail tech here. So kudos to her for helping me. They're very beautiful. Alright, so yeah, I need to add a get volume here. It's just gonna be a float, get volume, constant ID. That should be it. So now we're back over here. I can replace this, in theory, with get volume. And just put in this sound instance as the ID, and it should return that. Cool. So we're good to go there. Let me recompile. Do you type with your nails or fingertips? I type with my nails. It's just easier. If I have to type with fingertips, I need raised keycaps, which I would prefer not to do because they're kind of hard to set up. So I just type with my nails. It's just easier. It's a bit of a learning curve, but I got used to it. But yeah, the keycaps are light enough to where they require very low pressure, so they work very well for long nails. Because that's like the biggest issue, is that if the pressure required is too high, like more than a couple grams, it's gonna feel extremely uncomfortable. A short summary. This is an action-adventure role-playing game. It's made in a retro pixel art 2D style, kind of like think SNES era. And we are currently building the monster spellcasting system, because monsters, we have some monster types coming up that need to cast spells. So that's currently what we're doing. And right now, very specifically, we're making sure the Blizzard spell properly adjusts its audio based on the distance from the player. Because it's a very long spell, like lingering spell, and it has a sound effect tied to it, but we want to make it so when you walk away from it or towards it, it gets louder or quieter. We already had a class for that called Environmental Audio to handle all that for us, so I literally just had to implement it. But I did find out that I wanted to make it also fade out, and we don't really have like sound fading out and in, so I kind of had to quickly code some of that. So now we're just seeing if it all works. So we've been spending a little time fixing up things a little bit. Alright, so I'm just gonna let it cast Blizzard on me, and we're gonna listen. Hopefully it sounds right. I'm making action RPG as well. I'm on day 15, and it is a 3D FPS. Ooh, 3D. 3D is very interesting. Okay, so walk away. And we can hear it getting further away. And it's gone. I'm gonna start further away and walk towards it. so we don't really hear it. Now we do hear it. Yeah. And then it kind of fades away. So what I didn't want was when this circle fades away, like the blizzard attack is done, I didn't want to just cut. So you can hear it kind of like whoosh away. I have music in the background too, but basically I'm just listening for that. Actually, let's do this real quick. I'm just gonna pause this. Oh. That sound is still playing. That's weird. Does it not get destroyed in the destructor? Environmental audio destructor called deactivate. Should call unload sound. Does unload sound not necessarily mean it stops playing? Let me see. Sound uninit. Delete. So it's gone from memory, at least the vector of sounds. That doesn't necessarily mean it can't keep playing it though. So maybe I should stop it as well? Let's try that. That's kind of weird, right? Like, why would it still be playing? What data could it be retrieving that sound from? I guess it could just keep using the data that got deleted. It's just... so I'm gonna try stopping this sound. So audio... stop. Not BGM. Well, the assumption is the sound effect stops playing. So the fact it was like, it never stopped, it just kept playing one little bit over and over, tells me like, yeah, it's like the memory's gone and it's just like looping now. So I must have broken it, but I need to properly like stop the sound, I guess. That's kind of weird. I don't think sound effects can be stopped necessarily. Like, if we unload a sound while it's playing, I don't know if that's... I don't think we're even supposed to call unload sound, I'll be honest. Like, how does that work? Is it considered like a BGM then? Because that would be the only way, is... We delete the pointer, get set to null pointer, unregistered data. I'm a little confused. Oh, it's probably just very quiet on the stream end. Probably. If I were to take a guess, but I was hearing it. I guess I'm gonna call stop and see what happens, because we do have to eventually call it unload sound, so it's telling me this is being treated like a BGM, which makes sense. So let's just try audio engine, because it makes sense when we have to kill it that we actually stop playing the sound. Like, it shouldn't be playing it anymore. So stop our ID, which is... instance? Sound instance? What? I don't know what I did, but okay. So I'm gonna try this and see how that works. Yeah, my guess is it was probably just playing sound through whatever remaining memory it was playing through and just kept playing anyway. So I'm gonna force it to actually stop at that moment. Oh, okay. Abort has been called. Apparently in the destructor of audio, why do we have environmental audio running right at the beginning of the game? Parse tag, environmental audio data, and place back. Waterfall. Previous audio data? What? How would it get destroyed? Oh, just from temporary data? So it needs to be playing, right? Like, we can check for that too. If the sound is playing, then stop it, obviously. Do I have an is playing? Is playing. Okay, good. So only do this if we're playing. It looks like I made the audio engine system flexible enough. Oh wait, no, the mini audio engine is flexible enough to handle this. I didn't make it, but yeah. Alright, let's try this again. Or this happens again. Same thing. Is playing. Oh, so like it just doesn't exist at all? Hold on. Effect sounds has a size of 1, but we're supplying an ID. Oh, -1. Is that like a default we use? Because that sounds invalid. Numeric limits max. Okay, so if it prints out -1, it's printing out max. So... Well, it needs to not be that value. I don't know why... I guess I need to figure out why it would even... Do we have to check for that in multiple places? I guess, yeah, we do check it like here. If it's not equal to max, unload the sound and then do this. Okay. I think I understand now. So we would essentially... If we're unloading the sound, we have to play it too, or stop it too. So let's actually move this down here where we call deactivate, and then just call deactivate. Because I have a feeling no matter what, we would have to do this anyways. But now we know sound instance is not -1. So yeah, that makes sense. Hi there, how's it going? It's going good. So we are currently going to see if this actually plays the sound right now, because it wasn't playing the sound right for the last, like, 5 compiles. But yeah, things are going well. Let's see if the effect actually... I guess we're checking to see if the sound stops playing. I guess that's the big thing. Because I paused, which I think might have messed with it, so we're gonna have to look at that. But yeah, obviously, environmental audio sound, fine there. See, but I still hear it right now. Like, it's actually playing right now. So does that mean it's still running? Like, it's updating at this moment? So this isn't being called. Okay, let's look at the environmental audio list. That's not being called. Okay, so my guess is it's just set to loop and it's not being stopped. So I do hear it, it's just really quiet. Here, let me do this. Oh, that doesn't change it. Probably because it's already playing. I don't think this updates every... You know what it is? I think I know what it is. I think... Anyways, I do hear it. At least I think I hear it. Now you hear it? Oh, okay, yeah, it's very quiet, sorry. I would have to turn up the, like, stream volume, I guess, if I wanted it to be really loud, but I don't want it to be really loud, so... Here, let me do another one, but I don't think it retroactively adjusts all the sound effects that are, like, already gone, but... Yeah, you can hear that one is a bit louder. See, but the sound... I can't tell if the sound effect keeps going and for what reason it keeps going. But yeah, it's playing right now and it's like, why? Why is it playing right now? I wonder if it's because of this. Like, what happens when the lifetime reaches... Is it because this is going negative, maybe? That could be an issue. Let's start there. Let's actually put a standard max here of 0. I'm actually going to limit it because I'm not quite certain we should be going above or below the max. And heck, I should probably just clamp this between 0 and 1. I feel like set volume should do that for me. We're not allowed to make it past 1, so... Regardless, set volume should be clamped. Maybe I'll do that later. It's just interesting, but... None of our code should also be trying to set the volume to negative or too loud. I think it's back to its prior volume. I'm just gonna do this. And then let's try. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna go about debugging this, because a couple of things are happening. I guess at first I want to at least debug this statement when the lifetime is decreasing towards 0. I guess that would be a good opportunity to conditional breakpoint. Lifetime is, let's say, less than point... Let's say less than or equal to 0, because this would be the last time it will iterate through this. Or actually, I don't even know if it runs on 0. I think it probably runs before it, though. I could probably put it at 0.03. And it would probably hit either 0.03 or 0.033. I'm just gonna do 0.04 to be safe. Because the game won't run slower than 1/30th of a frame every tick. That's just something I enforced, so... If we conditional breakpoint 1 frame before it's supposed to hit 0, we can kind of go through the action, the steps it takes afterwards. Which I'm fine with. So lifetime is currently 0.03 whatever. I'm just gonna wait for another update tick. I just keep going. Oh, that was it? Oh, we're paused. Unpause. Okay, so now lifetime has hit 0, so it does go negative. But I will say right now, the audio has stopped. Although I don't think it plays when we break. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. No, we've heard the audio of the game play when the game was paused before. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, let's see. So, clearly this is going to set the volume to 0 if the lifetime is less than 0. So before price set negative, and who knows what that means. It might have messed with the sound engine and maybe broke things. But at this point, we should expect the destructor to be called right after this. So we go down to effect update, which is going to return false, which should tell the engine, or true. Wait, true? Really? If it returns true, what does that mean for us? We just call update. Oh, you know what? I think it sets like a flag saying it's dead. Yeah, it sets dead to true, but then it's supposed to return false. Oh, so it's doing the fade out right now, I think. So the fade out is what, 0.5 seconds? Okay, so it needs half a second to fade out. So then it does that for the next few ticks. So that must have been the issue, because if we look at it, technically the blizzard stays alive. It's just dead in the like, I don't think the update function calls though. Oh, it does. Okay. So the update function calls even if it's dead. So we have to check for that. I think that's kind of dumb. Yeah, that is kind of dumb, but I guess it also makes sense. So let's just say we don't do any of this if it's dead, right? We don't care to do any of this if it's dead. If not dead. I think I forgot this little detail, but then also, I think there's a function for this. Like, is dead or something? Is alive? Why do I not have access to this variable? I feel like that's important. Like, it should know if it's alive or dead. So dead is private. There seems to be no way for us to get it to know if we're alive or dead as a child class. That's kind of weird. Why did I design it that way? At the very least, it should be protected. Or at least to have a getter that says, yeah, we're dead or not. That is so strange. Why did I design it this way? Alright, well, let's add a getter. Is dead. Because I think it's important and relevant for this situation. I just find that so weird. I don't want to make it protected because I don't want child classes to be able to modify it. So I'm not going to do that. Effect is dead. And it's const. And it returns dead. I think it's only been relevant in this situation, which is probably why it didn't exist before. Usually it doesn't matter and we can just keep doing our thing, even during the fade out time. So if not is dead, we're gonna do all this. Let me try it again. But I have a feeling that might have been what brought the weird bugs, but I'm not entirely sure. There could be other reasons the sounds are playing the way they are, It's just gonna be a matter of looking at them and seeing what happens. Also, after this, I think we're going to call it for today. It's getting a little late. And at least these will be in good shape. We got to mess a little bit with the audio engine today. We don't really get to see much of it, so digging up some of the internals was kind of fun. And apparently it's still missing some features that I need now, so... yeah, of course. I just want to see real quick if this blizzard sound effect is doing anything remotely close to what we're expecting, or if we're going to be spending another day working on it. That's been fun. We've done quite a few unit tests today. We fixed a couple of weird bugs, added some sound effects, making progress, right? Little by little. But after this, we've got 4 of the 6 monster spells implemented for the mages, so we'll just do the last 2 probably over the next day or so. Like, the idea is that we have enough engine features to where we can just incorporate these with ease. But every once in a while, like the ones we've been running into, our engine is lacking some features, so we're going to have to implement those every time, which is what takes up quite a bit of time, right? But the hope is that we implement enough to where we don't have to spend time doing that anymore. It makes implementing future stuff easier. And as the project gets closer to completion, there's less reason to justify making more like detailed features of the engine. Like, sometimes I'll take shortcuts, especially as a project gets closer to its end. So we'll see what happens. I'm just thinking more like code jam logic, but okay, yeah, it completely stops now. I have to see about pausing though. I think pausing, I'll keep playing obviously because it's just a background sound effect. I think it loops. I'm trying to hear the loop. Okay, that was the loop. There's a little stutter, I guess. So I might have to look at it later to make sure it loops like seamlessly. But yeah. This properly goes away now. We don't hear the sound anymore. So I think just the fact of setting the volume negative messes everything up. Which I guess makes sense. Like, what does a negative volume mean, right? It can mean anything. It probably messes with everything. So that actually makes sense. As you can see, if we go farther away, it's quieter. So environmental audio aspect is working. So it looks good. I'm happy with it. Let's go ahead and commit. That's fine. Sometimes the cleanup for the images sent to the GPU doesn't quite work out, so it just kind of crashes. But it's not important enough to where it needs to be addressed. There's probably a lot that goes into fixing that one. Partially because I just have static memory allocated in a couple places and a couple globals. So releasing that memory is kind of tricky. It's something I can look at in the far future though. So what did we do? Implemented... let me see. I gotta look at the tests because I kind of forgot. Oh, sound effect tests. Implemented sound effect playing tests, unit tests for taking damage, taking combat damage for monsters and players. and the player. We added get volume to mini audio regex. Added appropriate sound effects to Blizzard and Freeze Ground. Anything else we did? I think that was it. Other than that, it was just like minor things along the way. This is release build 12914. Okay, cool. The only other thing I would like to do when I cut off stream is I'll probably just run the unit tests in the background and just make sure everything's still passing, the project's in good shape. But yeah, it's been a fun day today. Got quite a bit done. Making some more progress as usual. We got 2 more spells to do, which we'll start working on tomorrow. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.